Hi, this is Jitin and welcome back to HighLevel Techie. Today I'm going to take you to the behind the scenes of building HighLevel Techie website. And you can see this is the website that I've been building in the past few days. And I built it from scratch. There are no templates and it is built on GoHighLevel website builder. So I'm going to take you to the back end and show you how I built this website. Okay, so let's dive into it. So now we are in the back end of HighLevel Techie and this is the website builder. So you can see here, this is one section, and I have turned that into a global section. Now I'm going to build that out for you. So this is a blank website builder. So what we are going to do is add a section and full width section. I'm going to add a full width section in there. And if you go back, you can see there are 1, 2, and 3 columns in here. So what we need is another row, but with 3 columns. And you can adjust this column width like so, and you can move it around. Since this is a menu bar and it takes up the whole width of the section, what I want to do is click here and click on the section and toggle this one on, allow rows to take entire width. Now this will take entire width, and here what I would want is a logo, so I can add an image for that. There are no logo elements, so what I would do is I would add an image element in there. And here what I would do is I would add a menu, navigation menu, and here what I would do is add a button. Okay, so this is pretty much basic structure of it. And now I'm going to select this image and I'm going to select my logo. So I have my logo in here and I want to make that slightly smaller. I don't want this big, maybe 150px, or even that is bigger, so I'm 100px, right? And here in this case, what I want is, I don't want this image, I don't want this name, because I only have name and the logo. So what I would do is click on this menu bar and I would go to advanced features in here and I would select headline menu. I don't want headline, so that's gone. And we go back to the general area, and this is where you can disable the image. So again, there's an image option, logo in menu. If I disable this, the menu will disappear. If you want to keep that, you just toggle this on and then you can upload your menu from here. You can also create an image action saying that you want to open up a website when you click on the link. So all that can be done. If you don't want to set a different image, you want to make it as a combined unit, you can do so, but I would prefer to do it in a different sections. So that's your personal preference. You can do so however you like. So cancel that. So what I'm going to do is disable that. And I also want this to centralize. So I'm going to select center, but then it is not center. So what I would do now is go here and make the content position and the center. So now my menu is in center and I have a logo and this button. So this button, I want to change that something like this. For that, what I would do is just go here and change the background color, and then go here, change to start now, or whatever you want to call it, all that, and that's how you create that. And to get that edges off, what you would do is I would add a full border, and border color you can make it the same color so it wouldn't look like a border. If you want a different color, you can do so by selecting a different color. Now that we have a border, we can apply a border radius. So I would go about 25 or 50px. It looks like 50px would be ideal in this case to get that filled shape. So now my button is also ready. So to get the similar look, what I now need to add is a section background. So I would add a background color, a dark color. And now you can see that something doesn't look great, which is the color for this menu item. So what I would do is I would change the background color to either a dark color or a transparent color. And then I would also go back and change the color of the text itself. So I would change this to white. And if there are any bold color, just keep it as white as well. So now it kind of starts to look very similar to what we have in here. But you can see I decided to use an image with transparent background so that it blends in logo image, which is transparent. So this is transparent image, so that is good. Now I can move this so that it is on the side, and this can also be on the side. So it's up to you. How do you want to move it? And also what you can do is you can add one more column if you want a more compressed look. So this is pretty much done. Now what I would probably do is I would remove this extra padding so that it's a bit compact. It doesn't take so much space. And here this is 20. Maybe I'll just make that to a bit smaller, 17, something like that. Now, so this is pretty much done. Okay. And if you want a little bit more spacing for your menu items, what you do is you go click on the menu items, and then you increase the horizontal spacing. So let's say 15. So it moves a bit far. 25. It goes even farther. And that's how you create that space. So I think the one thing I need to change is the typography. So I go here, the typography is Montserrat now, but what I want is Inter. This is what I'm using, Inter and Intertide. Okay. So we have our menu bar done. Now what we have is the second section, which is the hero section. So for that, I'm going to add another section, full width section, and let's check. This is a button. This is a headline. This is another headline, and then there are two buttons. So let's get started with this button and this headline, right? So what I would do now is I would add one arrow with a single column. One column row is added. I don't mind it is taking a little less space. It's good. And what I would do now is I would add a background image or a background video so that it looks looks nice. So in this case, I have added a video, but it actually came from this image which I have here. I can make it darker by selecting the fade, but one thing to remember, the fade depends on the background color. So if you select a darker background color, it becomes darker. So that's how you set that background image or video and add an overlay on top of that. So now that we have the background color and one column row, we are ready to add our next element, which is a button here. Okay, so I could go and add a button, but what I would do to make it faster is I would duplicate this one and I would drag and drop it here. So now this doesn't look like this. So what I would do is I go inside the button. So what you need to do is instead of changing the background color, you change the background style into line flat. So now we have something we have in here, line flat. And then if it looks a bit bulkier, what you can do is go inside this padding and change that padding to something smaller, 10 and 10, and it looks slightly similar. So I would probably go even further down to, let's say, 8. Also, it's a good idea to change the font size in this case, something like 14. And you can also make this take the whole width if you want, but this fluid is good. If you want a little bit more width, what you could do is go in padding again and add probably about 20 more padding, and then it would look a bit wider. Right, so that's how you create that, and then you just copy and paste whatever text you have in here. Sort of this post launching soon. Right now, next one is the heading. So we go into our elements, and I'm gonna add this heading. Okay, heading color is black, so you can't see it now. So I'm gonna change that to white. And what I'm going to do now is to increase the font size. I want to look at really bold. Now this is how far it can go by sliding this, but you can always change this to 150 or even more than 100 by adjusting this value here. Okay, so that's the light. It's kind of big, so let's keep it 100 for now. And what I'm going to do is increase the font weight. So this kind of looks what we have in here, and then what I'm going to do is copy this thing in here. Right now, to bring this color, what I have done is I have added a CSS code. If you can just find a CSS code to add text gradient by asking ChatGPT. This is exactly what I did. I asked ChatGPT give me a custom code, and it has given me this code. And what I did is I went to this custom CSS and then added heading 1 and heading 2, and that gets applied here, right? As you can see. And how do you know which is H1 or H2? Whenever you select heading, this is going to be H1, and subheading is going to be H2, and paragraph is paragraph. So if you want to add heading but still want to use H2, what you can do is double click on this, on whatever you want to select, and then you can see here there is H1, and change that to H2 if you want, if you prefer H2. So that becomes H2, right? So that's how you change those things depending on your SEO requirements, right? Now we have our heading here. Now we add our subheading. So we go here, click on this icon and add a subheading. We add our content here. What are we going to do now is we are going to increase the font size to something slightly bigger, and also increase the font weight, which is something like 700 or okay. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time beautifying this. I'm just going to give you an overview of what we have done. Right? So this is done. Now what we need is a 2 button side by side. In order to do that, what we need to bring in is a new row. So in order to get a row, click on this blue box and click the plus blue button, and then you add 2 columns. This is where you will add your buttons now. So like I said earlier, what I would do is I would just duplicate this and drag and drop. If it hasn't gone there, just drag and drop again, and then get your button here. So this button should be on towards the right side, at least on the desktop view. So we send that in here, and we don't want it to touch each other. So what I would do is I would select the column, and I would add a bit of margin on the sides. So this is the margin. This inside one is padding, and you can see outside one is margin. So I would add a bit of margin on the right hand side, for example, maybe 5. And for this one, I would add another margin on the left hand side, 5. So they are a bit apart. Okay. Now for the next button, I will copy in here, and instead of it on the right hand side, I will move them to the left hand side. And this one I don't want to be predominant. So what I would do, I go back to BG styles and select the style as line flat, and I have my two buttons side by side. So now what we are going to do is add this box in here. So if we go back to our backend and if you select this, you can see this is a blue box, which is one single row. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is create a new section. I want to create a full width section here, and I'm going to add a full width row. And like you see here, I'm just applying a border color to this row. You can see this is a row and I'm applying a border color. So I don't want like this row to be 100% width. So I'm just gonna turn that down, maybe about like 60 or 75, something like that. And then I will apply a full border and I will apply a border color to this. And to make everything look smoother, I would add a border radius about 25. And all I have to do now is to add the content inside this. So what I did for this is I added an image. So this will get replaced later with a video, but for now I have an image. And this is that image. And I just add a background color so that it blends in. So this is an easier way to do it, or else what you could do is actually select the section, and instead of adding image, you just select the column itself and add a background image to that and use the same image. And to make it center, you select full center, and then you just need to add a little bit of padding, for example 100 or 140 on top and 140 at the bottom, so it looks like what you want it to look like. So if you think the width of the row is still a bit higher, I would probably bring it down. About like 56 looks all right to me. And now comes the part where this kind of overlaps with the previous section. So what I would do is that I would go back to the previous section, the hero section, and I would add a little bit more padding, about 100 or maybe 140. Now you can see there is plenty of space at the bottom, and I want this box to go up and overlap with that. I could actually create this box inside this, but the look and feel would be completely different. So that's why I'm making it to overlap. To make it overlap, what I would do, I select this column and then I would select a margin. But this time what I would do is I would add a negative margin. So 100 is going only till there. So let's try 200. 200 is too much. So we would probably go 150. 150 is all right. So maybe I could even go like about 130. And then it kind of overlaps. So I probably don't want like this to be 140. So I would keep it 100 and then I would change this to 100 as well. So this is what to me looks all right. It would be different for you. So, but I'm just giving you how you can get these things done. So now we have this ready, and now we're going to add this logo. So I have done the logo in the same section itself. All right. So what I would need now is either a button, or you can also create this using a subheading and add a border to it. You can do so like this. I'm just going to show you how you can use it as heading to achieve a similar look. What we're going to do now is add a new row, single column, and we can actually make it quite smaller to accommodate that. box. So it goes only up to 30%. That 30 is the minimum. And what I'm going to do is I add a subheading. And subheading, what I would do is copy this trusted the brands. So all the brands I worked with. Then size would be 19, for example. And now what I could do is I could add a border to the column that it has. Change whatever color you like. And to get that smoothness, we would do a border radius now. And that is done, right? So this is how you create a button-like feature using subheading. And the next one would be this logo. So what you could do is you select another column, and then you can actually add image slider. So this slider would slide through each of your logo, and you can adjust the slides here, and you can also adjust the height and everything here. This also works in situations, but I wanted a different look. So what I did is that I got a CSS code, and I just copied that CSS code in a custom HTML block. So this is the code. You can go to code pen, for example, and look for sliding images. Or just, for example, code pen, sliding images, CSS. If you search for that, and then you would find so many responsive code examples, and then you can copy that code, and if you want to adjust it, just ask ChatGPT again, and you get a code to work. That's how I did it, so that's how I would suggest you to do as well. In case you want the code that I've used, just ask me in the comment, and I might give you the code. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm just gonna copy and paste that code for now. I'm not going to go into the code and explain the code or anything like that. Just gonna add that in here. So that will give us our scrolling logo. So that's about the second section. And to give that similar look, what we just need to do is to add that background. And if we go and preview this, we will see how far we have come. See, we have created this in under 30 minutes starting from scratch. And of course, there are a few things that are ready. I have the logo code ready, and I have all the images ready. So that's a different story. But still, if you have every asset that you have ready, you just need less than half an hour to build a website from scratch. Now, these are pretty similar. So what I would do now is I go to, for example, like I would take this section, and I would just go here and duplicate this section. And you can see now I have one section and the same section here as well. So now if I go to this green box, which is for the section, and move up and down this arrow. So I'm going to move down this arrow. Then you can see this is first section and second section, and my third section is copied over here. Now I can simply copy the things that I want and make change here. And here, this is unique project-based study. We teach everything based on a project. For example, like what we are doing now, we are working on a project to build a brand HighLevel Techie, and you're learning how you can do it as well. So that's the basic idea of HighLevel Techie. So now we have this, and we just get this one copied in here. All right. Now the different thing is that we have a box, two boxes here instead of two buttons, but we already created a box. All we need to do is give a box an outline, a border, and add a few other elements. So what we're going to do is exactly the same. We select the box, the purple, violet, whatever you want to call it, and then we go to advanced, add a full border, and change the color. And now we add that border. So we have, if it is too much, just play around with it. If it is, yeah. So I think it's pretty good. And now what we need is a heading, and this is an image. If you have something else, you can add that in here. So I'm gonna click, either you can click here to add an element, or you select this orange box and click the plus button. What I'm going to add is a heading or a subheading. Okay, so I'm going to add a subheading here. So if you don't want to like do all the formatting again and again, what you could do is just select this subheading here from here, and then duplicate that, put that in the box. It's too big, so we'll just make it smaller. Whatever works for you, and then adjust that. And the next one would be an image. So go to an image and select an image. So have the image created here. So let's pick this one. This image is created, and now you can see this box is almost ready. We just need that button to be full width. So you select the button and go advanced, and instead of fluid, we select full width. So the button goes the whole length of the box. Now you can see this box and the content is pretty close together. There is no spacing. So what to avoid that, you select the box and you add a bit of a padding on the sides. So you can see that things are moving inward and on top as well, and at the bottom 20 as well. So we have done this. Now we have to recreate the same thing on here as well. So ideally what you should do is go ahead and do all the edits, but to get the same thing without doing extra work, what you can do is go here, delete this, and click on this column again and duplicate this. So you have same thing duplicated here, and now it's so much easier for you to change the content in here. Plus you also got all the formatting from this previous one. So what I would actually do is I would add a little bit more of margin for this and a little bit more of margin for, I remove this because it's on the other side. We don't need there. We want on this side. Now it kind of looks very similar. Maybe it's a bit more, but you get the idea. Now everything else is, you can see this is pretty much the same section. And I have, what I did is that I have two rows here. In order to achieve that, what you just need to do is select this row and duplicate that row. So you have 4 boxes now. If you want to change break the pattern, you just make it bigger or smaller, and you have a completely different looking grid here, right? So this is how you create the second section, and this is the FAQ. It's pretty standard section. You just add a new section and go in add one column, and then go to FAQ, FAQ, and then I made it a bit separated. And what happened here, what you see, that's our preview. So in here, there is 2 columns, and one side is all this data, and then on the other side is the FAQ, actual FAQ. So to get that look, what I would do now is I would just duplicate this single column into one more column, and I this element. So now you can see it's 2 column. So that's how you can add a new column if you don't have a column already generated when you're creating it. And here it's a button and it's a heading and subheading and another button. That's the format. So to get a button, you just duplicate this and bring it here, and let's make it fluid and to and it's sticking to its left side. Okay, so that's pretty much it, and then you can make that into line flat. Now you can't see that because what we are going to do is add a background, and that's done. Okay, now frequently asked questions is a heading, so you could get it from here maybe, and change that in here. If you want bigger, just select the size that you like. And now we also need a H2 under that. So let's select the subheading, and let's not be too lazy. Okay, copy that, and you copy that, and you keep it that side. Increase the size, maybe 25, and increase the boldness. And we have that ready, and now we want one more button at the bottom to contact us, and we have that button ready as well. So if you think these two are too close together, click on that and add a little bit of padding or margin. If it is a button, if you change the padding of the button would change, and it wouldn't give you that space. So for example, like if I change 15 to 40, so this is the padding that is going to change. So that's not what we want. So in such situations, what we do is add a margin instead of padding, right? But if you want this box of text to move up and down, like give more space, you can easily add a padding and then get that spacing that you want. So it's pretty much a lot about spacing and how you give enough space so that it looks nice. So you basically play with padding or margin to get that required view. Now we have done this, and we need this color. To get that color, you select the FAQ item, and then you go to advanced, and there is a font and color option. Font is taken from the default font for the whole page, and color, you can change the title background color, content background color, title color, and all that. So depending upon your branding and color preferences, you can change that however you want. So for example, if you select this, and if you select this and the title, if you open this specific tile by going to general and list item, you can see this has now taken that color from the color we have assigned. Okay, now title text color, if you want this different, you can select from here and you would see that difference. So this is how you style your FAQ section, and you can see there's an image. If you want image, you can add image. If you don't want an image, you go inside this list item and you select show item, show image or not. You deselect this and the image will be gone. Similarly, for each of the slide, you have that option to show or hide that image. Okay, so that's how you do it. And if you want to change the title, you just double click on it and change the title. And if you want to change the content of this FAQ, you select that item and then you double click on this content and change the content here. So that's how you add FAQ. Now what else we have? This is simply an image with the button, and this is, and again, similar idea. You want one more box, what you do is you go here, duplicate that box. Now you get 3 boxes, and you adjust the sizing accordingly, and you have this section ready. And this is pretty much heading, subheading, and a button. And this is the footer. Footer would need some work. So to create a footer, what you do, first create a full width section, and you can allow the row to take the entire width. And what we need now is 1, 2, 3, 4, or 3, depending on how you want to design it. You just add 3 or 4 columns. Usually it's 4 columns in most cases. And this would be where you add your logo. So let's add an image, and that image would be our logo as before. And let me just quickly give that background color, and let me change that to about 70, and keep it on the side. What I would need now is just heading and okay, so here is I've done a little bit differently. So what I did is, instead of adding an image, what I did is add an image feature. So image feature is slightly different than an image. So if I add white, text color white, so you can see this is image feature. You have an image and a placeholder for heading and some subheading. So that's what I did in here. So I copy that and copy that, change this, and I will add the image by going to my right hand side and accessing the extra options for the image and select heading, and there you go. That's how I did that. You can also move around and adjust the sizing and all that by selecting more options. You can select the font size. If you don't want this to be too big, you can just change that to 19, whatever you like. So that's how you achieve that look. And then if you want to add one more paragraph, you can add that either as a paragraph or as a subheading. Okay, so this one color is white. Now we copy this, okay, and then change the alignment to left hand side. And if it is too close to the side, what you can do is you can add, and that's right, you add a little bit of padding. Okay, so that's how you create that. And then you see here, these are actually another element called social icons, and you have all the icons you can select. You can add or delete some of the items in here, and you can change that to just icon only, just text only. If it's text only, all you just need to go is to change the color of the text. So I'm gonna select white color, and that is done. So that's how you add that. You can change the alignment and change the icon size and all that. Just play around with the settings to get the required look. And then these are just some text with links. So what you could do is add either subheading or heading, whatever you like, and then select that and add a link. You can also use a button if you prefer. So it's for example, like select this one and add it here, and instead of having all the borders and everything, what we do is we just go and no border, so it would look like a text, but it would act like a button. Whichever method appeals to you, you can follow that. That's about this column, and then this is simply adding a form. So you go to your form settings and add a form, and you have a form, select waitlist form, and waitlist form is a single column form. So all you have to do is go to your form builder and create a new form, and you can attach that on your footer. So that's pretty much it. Like if you look at this, this is how I have created the website starting from scratch. Oh, and one more thing, I have something called back to top. So if you are at the bottom of the page, if you click on this back to top, it will take you all the way up. It's again pretty easy. So what you need to do is ask ChatGPT to create a script for back to top element for your website, and then it would spit out some script. All you have to do is go and create like a section and add a button. So for example, what I did here is I have a custom HTML here. So if you open this, I have this code. You don't scroll function and all this is here, and then it would use something called get elements by ID and button, and then I have selected this button ID. So how can you get the button ID? So what you need to do now, once you get the code and once you add that, once you add everything like the style and everything, you go to the button and go to advanced settings, and then at the bottom you would see a CSS selector, and all you have to do is copy this CSS selector and add that to your code. So I have added that into my global section or global footer, so it is available on all pages that I have. And I've been telling you about global sections. If you are not aware of what is a global section, what you can do is you can go to a section and you select that green box, and then you click on this save section button, and then you have two choices. One is to create it as a template or to create it as a global section. I would select global section, and then I would give it a name. Once you save that, you can access those global sections from here. So you can see I have a global FAQ, global testimonial, and all these sections are created as global section. So what happens is that if I update something on this page on a global section, it gets updated on all pages that is using that specific global section. So all you have to do is update it in one place and it gets reflected on other places where it is being used. So that's the beauty of global sections, and I would strongly recommend to use global sections whenever possible. I wouldn't actually build out this whole footer on this page. What I would do is I go here and I would select my global footer and I would drag and drop it, and then you can see I have my footer is ready to go, and this is the footer that I've been building. And if I change anything here, if I don't want Facebook and I delete that, it would get reflected on my other pages. So usually I build a footer as a global section and the menu item as a global section. So for example, if I go to global header, my original menu is already in here. Oh, and one more thing before we leave. So just need to look into mobile mode. You click on this mobile mode, and this is where you actually adjust the sizing for mobile only. So you can see there's a small button here, font size only for mobile. So you change that. It wouldn't change on the desktop version, it would only change for the mobile view. So make sure that you have taken care of the mobile view as well before publishing your website. And these are close together on a desktop view, but on the mobile view they are on two other sides. So you just come here and align this button in mobile view by clicking on here and clicking on here, and it will look nice on any other devices as well. So that's pretty much it about how you can create a website from scratch, and this is exactly how we created our website. I've shown you everything that went behind the scenes, and it took me like 2.5 days to build this out. You can also create this in a very similar way. If you have any questions regarding how to build a website, how to do certain things, please reach out to us. Happy to help. If you need any of the code that we shared here, reach out. We might share it. We don't know yet. But anyway, that's all for today. I'll see you in the next one.